All right, so today we're going to be going over transformations, just a review on all the different transformations we've learned. You have dilations, translations, and reflections. Okay, so here you have your anchor chart. So with dilations, remember that's when you have shapes that become bigger or smaller, enlarged or reduced. And your algebraic rule for that is xy transform to k times x and k times y. And remember, k is your scale factor. Okay, k is your scale factor. And whatever you multiply your x value by, you must multiply your y value by. With dilations, they do not preserve congruence. Remember, congruence is same shape, same size. And then they do preserve orientation. Okay. Next, you have translations. That's when you just slide the image, okay? So it's x plus or minus a number, y plus or minus a number. You're just moving the image to a different place on a coordinate plane, okay? So it does preserve its congruence because it stays the same shape and the same size, and it also preserves its its orientation because it does not flip, okay, or rotate or turn in any manner. Then you have reflections. That's just simply when you reflect an image over the x or y axis. So if you reflect over the y axis, your x value changes, and if you reflect over the x axis, your y value changes and becomes the opposite. So now we'll take a look here. So here you have your reflections, dilations, and translations. Whenever you have a reflection, it's best to highlight which axis you are reflecting over. So which axis are we flipping the image over? So here you can see that we are reflecting over the x-axis. And if I am reflecting over the x-axis, that means my y value changes. So just for an example, let's say we have coordinate A, which is 5, 2. Then you have A prime, which is still 5, but -2. Okay, so you notice your y value becomes the opposite. So your rule will be x, y reflects. So your x value stays the same because you flipped over the x axis, and then -y. Okay. Next, you have a reflection over your y-axis. And so since I reflected over the y-axis, I now know that my y value stays the same, but my x value changes. So my rule will be my x value becomes the opposite and the y value stays the same. So whichever axis you flip over is the axis, the opposite value becomes the opposite of what it originally was. Then here we have dilations. You're going from triangle A to triangle B. So just looking at the image, we know that it's an enlargement. And since it's an enlargement, we know our scale factor should be greater than or equal to 1. So I'm going to take a point. So I'm just going to label these A, B, C, A prime, B prime, C prime. And let's take point B. So you have B is 2, 2. And B prime is 5, 5. So remember, in order to find my scale factor, I need to do my new over my old. So my new y or x value is 5. My original is 2. So 5 halves is 2.5. Okay, so our rule becomes x, y dilates to 2.5x comma 2.5y. Okay, and then last but not least, you have a translation. So remember, with your translation, you choose 1 point. You can choose 1 point to figure out your rule. And then if you had to move the actual image, you would do it for everyone. So let's look at M, okay, and M prime. So I'm going from this image to this image, and I know this is the new because of the prime notation. So I'm going to the right. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units right. So under words, you go 5 units right. And then you go 2 units up. So remember, if you're going to the right, you are adding to your x value. If you're going to the left, you're subtracting from your x value. If you go up, you're adding to your y value. If you go down, you're subtracting from your y value. So here, when we write our algebraic notation, if I went 5 units right, that's affecting my x-axis, and I am adding. And if I go 2 units up, that's affecting my y value, and I am adding. So x plus 5, comma, y plus 2. So now you're going to go ahead and complete your Transformation Master's assignment on Desmos.